Hello everybody and welcome to my vehicle assembly building in Kerbal Space Program. I am here to show you my Interplanetary base version 1. Probably the only version because it actually works really well. Which is a first for me, but you know. I am going to show you how this thing is constructed. So let's start from the bottom and go up, shall we? Here we have solid rocket boosters. Is that the name? SRB. Solid fuel boosters, not rocket boosters. Well, they're supposed to help lift the entire thing up during the beginning few wait, Wealthy, wait. During the few beginning kilometers of the atmosphere, which are probably the hardest to get through. And they burn out slightly before the main engines run out of fuel, which are connected, as you can see. How do I even describe this? This is asparagus staging, basically. The engines draw fuel from the most outerlying tanks, in which case it's 1, 2, and 3 tanks at first, then it's 3 tanks again, and then it's just the middle tank. And every time the group of tanks runs out of fuel, I just decouple them, which is represented right here. And so the rocket keeps going up and shedding weight, so actually accelerating a little bit slower, but requiring less fuel to lift the whole thing up. It all works out in the end, and it's more fuel efficient. All those struts are required to keep this thing from wiggling out of shape, which you could see happen a few times in the previous videos. After that, we have the atomic engine with, again, fuel tanks set up in a, I guess you could call that asparagus setup, where the engines, the fuel is taken from only one fuel tank at a time, and the moment it is depleted, it gets decoupled and it flies away, lightening the entire thing. So the fuel tanks peel away one by one until just the middle one is left, and after the middle fuel tank is out, well, you're probably stuck in a vacuum if you're still there. But there's also the lander engine, which is right here. It's only really supposed to help negate the speed on the way down to a planet. Wait, Wealthy, wait! I should have told him. Oh well. And it's not supposed to be used as an actual movement acceleration engine. Wait, Wealthy, I know it's very important, but it can wait. And with that engine, we start the main part of the entire spacecraft, which is the lander. It has a huge RCS tank, as you can see here, some generators, battery packs to keep this thing— Wait! No! No! Go away! I don't like you. Offline. Oops. Put it back. There we go. Yeah. There's some electric charge here, the SAS module to help this thing float, and then there are those 2 attachments. This one is a small satellite that is supposed to orbit whichever planet the lander lands at. So, well, first it needs to achieve low orbit, I guess, but it doesn't matter because those fuel tanks right here, they provide so much fuel to the one atomic engine, it can just fly around endlessly. It's so fuel efficient that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's the satellite with all the necessary equipment to make sure it stays operational. And here's a rover. It even has a seat, which you can probably see from this direction. See? The seat. It's supposed to, well, transport 1 Kerbal at a time around the destination planet. After that we have the command pod itself with some solar panels which proved to obstruct the entrance to this thing. We've checked that the hard way in the middle of an interplanetary transfer. Oh well. And after that we have the parachutes. Those are the drogues that are supposed to, well, slow this craft down in the upper parts of the atmosphere, and enough so that when the main chutes deploy, the ship doesn't get torn into bits. I have 8 main chutes that are supposed to save the fuel tank, which should be almost empty, and the command pod, which is the most important part because there's people there. And aside from that, there's just some RCS tanks here that allow Kerbals to actually kind of jiggle and wiggle their way around on ladders to climb up this box and this one. I guess this one is more important because this one is used to access the command pod itself. Aside from that, there's some lights, antennas, measuring equipment thrown in for good measure, and that pretty much concludes the entire rocket. Right now, this thing, one of its kind, is orbiting Duna in low orbit, and I'm gonna see if this can land. This is actually gonna go in the same playlist. You'll find out later. It's not a spoiler, guys. It's not a spoiler. Come on. The landing is the trickiest part by far. So I hope you enjoyed this brief, not so brief actually, well, this guide around my rocket. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of the playlist ahead of you.